My presentation is called Live Binders, your virtual 3-ring notebook. What that means is, in the past, on our school lists at the beginning of the year, it would say bring a 3-subject notebook. And so, we had to find the ones that were either sparkly or pretty or, whatever it was, university related. And during the year, it gets ripped up, it gets lost, and, we spilled our chocolate milk in the morning. Where did it go? Well, one of the things with Live Binders is it's virtual. So no matter where you are, you have access to it. One thing that I want to talk to you about today is we can use it as professionals, but we can also use it as like lesson-based format. So you'll see that there's many different aspects to it. It's a multimedia website, which means it can be basically you click on a tab, you read something, but it can also be you click on a tab and it would download a PDF or a file. You could click on something and it brings up a movie. It could be audio files, pictures. So if you start using your imagination in your own jobs, or even something at home as simple as maybe you want to organize your family recipes, it would be very powerful to put these different formats in here. And that's one of the things that I like to do when I'm training, is make sure that people know a lot of the things that we teach in educational technology is very far-reaching and global, and you can fine-tune it to the way you like to do things. So with that, one of the things I want to point out, and in just a few minutes, I'm going to have you, if you would like, sign up for a Live Binders account. It's free. And so I'm just going to click around, and you'll see as I click through this Live Binder, there are main tabs at the top, and then there are sub-tabs under that. So that's like a hierarchy of organization. So as I'm kind of clicking through, start thinking to yourself, how could I use this in something that I'm doing right now? So under my class information main tab, I'm going to click on the sub-tab, and it just has information. One of the reasons why I put a web link in here to the Tech Edge conference is I have shared my link with my PLN, with my professional learning network, through Twitter, through Plurk, through Facebook, through Yammer. You kind of get the idea, kind of connected. So I wanted to make sure that I had a format for sharing people beyond this room. The second sub-tab I have is just a general agenda. And when you get to the to link, which you can actually see on the top up here, you could actually type in that web address, the livebinders.com/play/present?ID = 414228. Sorry for that long link. I probably should have used a shortener, like a Google shortener or tiny URL, and it slipped my mind. So you'll have to type it in yourself. But you'll see that within the type that I typed into my agenda, you'll see that there are web links. So within any content of your notebook, you can put a link to anything you want. This is a YouTube video that is like one of my very favorites. A student named Joe who is trying to figure out how to do something in the classroom in this modern world.
Joe, what are you doing there?
It's a video. I wrote a picture. I don't know.
What's going on?
Well, this is this is like a foreign tool.
Okay. What was it? You said you were having a problem earlier?
Oh yeah. Wait, where's that? Yeah. So I want to read more about Frederick Douglass, or maybe like see a larger image. So I double-clicked on the picture, but nothing's happening.
Oh.
And then I can't really read the text because it's kind of small. So I'm looking for the system preferences so I can make the text bigger, but can't find anything.
Laura, you said there was a problem involved?
You can't double-click the image because it's not blue highlighted.
Oh.
And the words you don't know, they're not blue highlighted, so you can't.
Well, wait, cotton is king. That's blue.
Yeah, what are you doing there? What? It's what?
It might be a link, Joe. Click on it.
Nothing's happening.
What's wrong, Joe?
I don't know. There's so many like.
Joe, drag that picture. You could save it. That could be useful.
I don't even have a folder anywhere to put it in. Like if I drag it, it would just be like right here.
Wait, how are you doing that? You're like changing the pages.
I know. It's like
Are you just clicking through? What's going on?
it's like micro technology. No, I'm just turning like the page,
Okay.
but it's like micro technology, so like everything is inside the page.
Inside the page?
Wait,
That's insane.
is Rushmore
All right.
South Dakota?
Well, I hope you. We'll check back later to see if you fixed your problem.
Okay.
Think about if you've seen students go into a media center with all the books, with everything, and they're still almost lost. They would rather sit down and Google something. Even all the search tools that we have available, they still might, like NetTracker and all these great resources, they may not be using just because they're so accustomed to, well, this is how we do it. So with that, if you have a laptop or an iPad or a smartphone or something and you would like to create a binder, go ahead and sign on to livebinders.com. And I'll give you just a moment if you would like to sign up for a free account. You'll find that once you are logged on, or even when you're on the site, you can search by authors, you can search by subject of things that other people have made. I know that in the Active Inspire session that I went to, the first sectional, he talked about the great resources out there that you don't need to recreate. Well, the same thing with LiveBinders. You could go into the LiveBinder site and search for a topic such as erosion, and there's probably a LiveBinder that has something to do with your topic. So once you are on the LiveBinder site, when you're on the site, even if you're not signed up, you can search for LiveBinder. So for example, I was saying I'll show you an easier way to get to my LiveBinder. My, I guess you would call it handle, or for social networking, is lfeld52. And you can search by author. And when you search by author, then multiple LiveBinders will come up of things that I have created that I'm willing to share with people. And then you will find on there, where are we hidden in here? Where did I go hiding in here? UNL Tech Edge Conference. That's not the one. I must have created multiple of them. UNL Tech Edge Conference. Let's try that one. I think I probably.
Can you say again what we search for?
Yes. At the top, let me go back up here. Search for, if you're searching for me, you search for LFELD52, and then you need to click on author. But you can also search by education category or just in general, every binder.
There, thank you.
And maybe I guess I'll just log back in so I can find my own self. And it should say UNL Tech Edge LiveBinders, your virtual 3-year notebook would be the current one. Okay, so now let's talk about what are in these binders. What I'd like to do is just show you the main tabs real quick. One of the things about technology is sometimes it's easier to teach yourself. So I put a tab in here for LiveBinders info. There's a printable tutorial for handouts. And so you could just download them to your computer, and it's a step-by-step. Basically what I did is I took screenshots of how I create a LiveBinder. There's also, from the LiveBinder sites, there's tutorials and tools and help files. The next tab is, if you wanted to, you could go in and share your uses of how you think you could use a live binder at home, in your classroom, wherever you think you would like to use it. I'm pretty sure I made it public, but once in a while on Google Docs it gets a little wonky and it doesn't let people jump in there. But I'll try to continually add information. So what I'd like to real quick is to jump into student uses and teacher uses, because that's somewhat what we're here today for. And then I will show you how to create one. For student uses, one of my main goals is to have a student be independent, to be able to sit down with guidance and to work either through a lesson or to discover something. So for example, a web quest. Now all of these are not mine. Some of them are things that I have browsed for. And when I click on the Subtab, hopefully a web quest will pop up. And this is a web quest that someone else created. And each tab is part of the learning process. So it walks through students how to learn about volcanoes. It talks about how they could do the lesson, what they need to do, how they step through it. So you can see a live binder can have like a teaching mode. Another idea is, if you're elementary school, maybe a learning center. Maybe in your classroom you have a computer that's dedicated, maybe it's station number 2. This is actually one that I did create, and it is a keyboarding practice. I'm going to try to go into presentation mode and see if that looks better. Let's try this. That looks a little better. Find out. So all of the tabs on this are links to learn how to do computer keyboarding. Being on the special education side, we have some students that don't function very well in computer class. It's either going too fast, their processing speed is hard. So I created a live binder that could be used as a center where a student could do independent practice on keyboarding. Another student use could be is, how do you organize your research notes? So in this particular one, we're always asking them, how many questions can you ask about your research? And at the bottom is just an area where they can type what they find and then citing their sources. So they have questions and sources. So that's another idea of how can we organize things. Instead of having the index cards, the very classic mode, and then once again, they lose their cards. So it's just another way that they could put this information together. Some of my teacher uses and my student uses kind of overlap. I'll get to the main teacher uses first. I thought this was kind of fun. I thought it would be fun to try to create, and some substitute teacher notes in a live binder. So what I thought is, as it pops up, is I put the main web page so that they can find out information about our school. And then in the other tab, I thought, well, how do you navigate around my school? What are important things that you need to know? So I told the teacher that if you see a clock on the wall, you're going to find the bathroom and drinking fountain. Great information if you've never been to a building. Where the teacher's lounge is, if they need to release a copy number, all the things that are like helpful hints. One thing to note is you can make a live binder private. So you can either put a key code in there, you can make it public, or you can just give specific emails of who can get that. That makes sense on subnotes, doesn't it? You'll see I made some lines there instead of putting my copy number or putting student names in there. If you put it under access key, only that person who has that key code is going to get into your live binder. So it is quite secure. Then, today's plans. And basically what I did is I had it on a Word document and I copy pasted it. into my live binder. And then under the confidential information, I just made that up actually, a web address share here. You know, if there's confidential information, you could do a secure link to something else, or you could put other information. So I thought that was kind of a handy dandy way as a teacher to use the live binder. One of the things that I said is it's important to try to include all students into a classroom. And this particular live binder was for a student who was basically at the functional level and was in a social studies class learning about ancient Greece, but he wasn't able to keep up with the pace. But I wanted him to meet the same objectives of the other students. He needed to be aware of some of the geography. He needed to be aware of some of the names. So basically what I tried to do is take the objective information for that unit and see if I could find web links so that student could be successful. So I found games. I found little movie vignettes on Power Media Plus. If you're a Discovery Education Network, you would have that. Information on Greek gods and goddesses. There are just amazing websites out there for students to use. He was able to sit there with a laptop and headphones and totally be acclimated into almost the same lesson that the peers were doing. So this is where I said sometimes it skews from the teacher side to the student side. For another student, this was actually for a student with autism. We had a link for every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then maybe some extra math games. So this would be something that would be as a reinforcer for this student. If he did the work that he needed to get done that was part of his daily objectives, he could go into his live binder. But we also took it a step higher and said, well, today, after we did the calendar activity, today is Monday, this is the link you can work on. So kind of a higher level of, interaction. I also, with students with autism, sometimes you need to use social stories. And my daughter up front is laughing because we have a family favorite social story, which I won't share with you. It actually might be in here. But the social stories, this particular student, every class period had to read through a social story of what was appropriate behavior or what are the daily problems that we had that we need to work. So for this particular day, period 1, they were taking a test, and so he would read that social story in preparation for that class period. Another class period would be a teacher who was kind of wild, and she called her students freaks and things like that. So I had a social story about, sometimes teachers call student names that they don't mean. So it's just something to work on. Now today, you could actually take meeting notes. And so for example, in the keynote this morning, you could have made a tab for the different resources or web links that were mentioned during the keynote. So this actually came from a National Science Foundation meeting that I went to. And as we had discussions, when they mentioned links or sites, I would go ahead and make them into a tab of activities. And then the last tab I have on there is resource sharing. It's a live binder I created with Web 2.0, it's a reused term, technology. It kind of shows you who I am, technology A to Z, get your geek on. It has my tabs of different activities that you can do. And I know it's a little bit hard to see up here. Presentations, flashcards, if you want to begin into screencasting, like recording what is on your screen. Kind of the idea where they talked about the instruction of showing like how to do an equation or something. Those are sites that you could use. So that's kind of my sharing as far as teaching goes. So now what I think would be a good idea is to go ahead and show you how you would create a live binder. So play along if you'd like, or just watch, that's fine. I'm going to go back into here, and I'm going to go back to the live binder main site. And you'll notice on the left side, it says start a blank binder, start a blank shelf, my uploaded files, and so on and so forth. So what you're going to do is, if you're logged in, you're going to click the top under the dashboard, and you're going to create a blank binder. So let's see what pops up. It's asking us, what do you want this binder to be called? So I'm going to go ahead and call mine Tech Edge Demo. And you do not have to, it's nice to put tags in there, description. You'll notice that where there's an asterisk, that is something that you have to fill in to complete it. I'm going to put it under education. And I'm going to go ahead and make it public. But you'll see, if I click on private, and this is where I talked about the lesson plans, if I click on private, I can create a key for someone to get in there if you want to keep it locked down. Maybe you're making a family cookbook and there's very secret recipes in there. It doesn't have to all be about education. But I'm going to go ahead and make it public and create my new binder. And it starts out with 3 main tabs. It kind of gives you a start. I'm kind of looking around to see if we're getting stalled, so I'm going to kind of play off of you as far as where we're at making the tabs. And I'll show you some of the kind of the pitfalls, the mistakes that I've made in making binders here and there as I've kind of gone along the way. So you'll notice at the top, it already has the title of our presentation. If you signed up and you're doing this, it will have your author name on there. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is think to yourself, what do you want to name the tabs? So let's call this, let's see, I'll just do the conference info. Okay, so what I want to do is find my, if I can find my Tech Edge. I copy it. And you'll see there's an enter a URL address. So I basically copied the web address. I'm going to insert it, and it should jump into my document. Now what I do sometimes on the main tab, not the sub-tab, and I'll show you, is sometimes I'll put a picture. So if you remember back in the presentation, no, that's not it. Back in the presentation, there was like a super teacher icon. I inserted an image on the main tab to give you a hint of what I was going to talk about. So now let's say I want to insert a sub-tab. Maybe there's more information I want to share. So there's a very small yellow triangle. And if you click on it, it will drop down. And it's basically going to ask you, what do you want to do? Do you want to add a new tab, which would be the top tab, the top level, delete this tab, move it left, move it right, add a new tab, or open advanced tab menu. So I want to add a sub-tab. I want to put something underneath that. So it's going to be connected to that main tab. So it's the same idea as the main tab, it's just hierarchical lower. So maybe we want to do, let's see. Let's try and see if this works. This is actually the digital version of the program. So I'm going to just type program. or how about online access? And we're going to insert that, and there's that document. So now I have a main tab and a sub-tab. So now let's just say we wanted to put something else in there. I wanted to upload a PDF file or a photograph from my computer, or so I'm going to go ahead and make another sub-tab. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I'm just going to put picture on there. Now I'm going to click at the top right, edit menu. This is going to give us more options. Come back. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now you'll see I can upload files, I can insert media, I can change the text layout. So like in my introduction page, it was just all words, or in my subfolder, it was words. So I can upload or insert what I want. So in that yellow, I guess pill-shaped edit menu is where I can insert something else. So let's see, if I upload a file, who knows what I'm going to find on here. It could be scary. Okay, we'll just do my picture with cinnamon gummy bears because I'm kind of known for really loving cinnamon gummy bears. So I chose the file, and then I'm going to upload. And in all my glory, there is my cinnamon gummy bear. And then I do try to save once in a while, kind of like using a Word document. I do try to save once in a while. So you can see, then I can go to tab 2 and insert what I want. If I feel that the edit menu is taking up too much room, all I need to do is click it again, and then it disappears. But one of the interesting things to look in the edit menu is to see what options you have. When I did Joe's non-net book, I used the media link. You could use a title in media, so I could have put the title up there. Text in media, text alone, column text. One of the things to think about is you could use it as like a worksheet. You could insert media like a picture and then pose a question in the other column. You could do kind of a, what's the word I'm searching for? Self-checking activity where it poses a question and they click on a link and it would verify that. So maybe it could be, is it a mammal or not? They might see a picture and then they click on it and it might either be an audio file, yes, this is a mammal, it could be a web link to some short little snippet. So be thinking about, excuse me, all of the things that you could look through. One thing also is you can rearrange the tabs. So let's say you put together a presentation and you think, you know, I think this tab should be on the far left because it's more important. I can go ahead and go into the yellow triangle and I can click move tab left or move tab right. So everything is movable in the main tabs and also in the sub tabs. So that kind of makes it user friendly. Okay. So now, what I'd like to do is ask you guys a few questions and see if we can kind of brainstorm how we might use these in a classroom, as an administrator, at home, ideas. The first thing I want to know is, where are we as far as, I know a couple people are college, teaching at the college level. Do we have elementary teachers? A couple? Middle? Yes. Secondary, high school? And then college, or? Okay. So it's really kind of a good variety. So what I'd like to do is kind of put some of you on the spot is, you know, after having the introduction of how to use this and where to go with this. I'd kind of like your feedback of maybe, I'm kind of assuming most of you, this is the first time being exposed to a virtual 3-ring notebook to live binders. Is there something that you can think of that you might be able to use a live binder for? I mean, I showed you if you searched online, I have quite a few binders and kind of a big variety. So I'm going to put my college level people on the spot back here. How do you think that maybe you could try to use a live binder for something that you're doing?
I was actually thinking, we're doing an institute this summer with some teachers from China. And they can't access Google Sites, but we want them to be able to build portfolios and show students how to do project-based learning. And I was thinking if this site is something that they can access, this might work for that same functionality.
Okay, so if you didn't hear her, she was saying that there's an international program that she's working with where they cannot necessarily access the Google Sites. So she was thinking that the live binders might be a venue that might be more accessible internationally. That's a great idea.
Also working with pre-service teachers, especially at elementary, who are learning how to integrate technology in a variety of subject areas, so how live binder divided into different content areas where they can store resources and learn some things about technology in specific areas.
Right, so kind of organizing content area for writing. I taught an English skills class at the higher functional level this last year, and I actually had a live binder for my class that either it might have been sentence starters, it might have been grammar activities, with the, if you were doing a math one, the Khan Academy is a great link to put into these binders. So I do think pre-service education, it would be great to have those.
Wait, I can step out for a minute, so you might have mentioned this, but are these collaborative more than, can you share them?
Yes, you can collaborate. You can put editors on there. I have not yet, but I know that there is, let's see. I believe it's when I'm in my shelf, because once you create binders, you can stock them as a shelf. So I might have one as professional development. You might have a shelf for a specific class.
Well, I think that if you can collaborate on this together, I think that could be good for, I have students who I'll give them kind of different things that they each have to research and then bring back to the group and we talk about them and that sort of thing. So that would be kind of a good way for them to be able to do that and put some of the information together.
Yep. So on my shelf where I have my binders sitting, I clicked on options, and then one of the choices is collaborate. One thing that's also nice about live binders is you can actually make a copy of someone else's presentation and then fine tune it for yourself, which is pretty cool. Okay.
In what way is live binders similar to like one that you get through Word?
I would say that live binders, one is just the visual appealing of it. I think we think in a very systematic way, and I think it helps to have the tabs. I know a lot of people use Evernote and things like this, but personally, I think if we have people thinking what it's like to use a 3-ring notebook, I think that it's very helpful. But one thing you know about technology is there are so many things out there, and you need to find what works for you. I've had quite a bit of success using live binders with students, with administrators, with technology training. It's been so nice to have everything in one spot that I can just go to a web link and my whole presentation is there. So it's kind of nice. It kind of steps away from the PowerPoint concept. I think it's really useful. You'll see down the side also, you can actually search for different topics. Maybe you're a Spanish teacher. Maybe you teach a specific grade level. It depends on how people save their presentations. So it might say, you know, 6th grade chemical properties, or, you know, whatever the units might be. So, but it's just an amazing resource. Okay. Oh. Okay, so it says the question, could students add to this throughout the school year to create a portfolio of their work? You could definitely make it into a portfolio. They would create their own portfolio under their name and add materials to it. I actually have a colleague from Kansas, Dean Matz, who has made his LiveFinder's portfolio as his resume. And that's what he uses to represent himself. He has artifacts, he has everything you need right there in his LiveFinder. I thought it was very creative and great for him for, you know, thinking of another way to use something that we already have. Okay, other ideas of how you might be able to use a LiveFinder.
I think you might use on your team to work collaboratively, because you can say, okay, here's my lesson plans, we're all working on same basic objectives, here's your ideas, and like that.
Okay, so the idea was to use it as a team type thing to plan collaboratively, go through your lesson plans. You know, I just think of all the areas of extra practice for something. I know that for the state testing for NISA, we found that figurative language was very tough for students. So a LiveFinder on different aspects of figurative language. You know, maybe the difficulty is in inferencing, and so you might put together a LiveFinder for inferencing. So you see how kind of quickly it's that you can put it together, that the front end side of it, the preparation, is pretty quick. And I think that's quite the appeal, because if you look at research, how many hours teachers put into preparing for their classrooms, I think it shows the benefits of ease of use is really going to be helpful. Yes?
Can you upload or embed video, or can you just link to it?
You can, let's double check. I was going to say, if you look, we'll go into my writing skills and let's see if we can play with it. Okay, so let's make a new tab, add new subtab, and let's edit. So we can insert media, which to me would be embedding. So let's see what we, and so for example, this is saying, is it a YouTube video? Is it a Flickr image? Is it a delicious bookmark? So I'm going to assume, which could get me into trouble, that that would be like embedding from another link, as opposed to uploading a video that maybe you shot of yourself, demonstrating something or something like that. I'm pretty sure that that's, I'm thinking that's what you're asking.
Do you use, just out of curiosity, do you use these PowerPoint sites?
She's asking, do I use the, is it Pete's PowerPoint sites?
PowerPoint.
There are some really great links, and they're actually in
You
the,
said about figurative language brought up my head.
yes,
It's
actually,
really wonderful.
the PowerPoint site that she's referring to, it's like PPT or something like that. Actually, some of the activities that I had from a student from ancient Greece came from that site.
Yeah,
It's an amazing site.
it's an amazing site, smart site.
Yes, it is, it is. And that's where, you know, I challenge you, all these different links that you know to find great things, start a LiveFinder. Start organizing things by, you know, is it flashcards? Is it English? Is it math? Or is it fractions? Is it, you know, division? Start thinking to yourself, look through your bookmarks. That's pretty powerful. I know, here I'm a presenter, my bookmarks are a disaster. And even though I use Delicious and things like that, I get very lazy here and there. Start thinking, that's actually how some of my presentations I started organizing my Web 2.0 tools, thinking how can I classify them by the different activities that I'm doing. So I'm going to let you play for a minute. I'm going to circulate around and see if anybody's making anything or has some ideas. And then we'll kind of close up and see what you're thinking. On the Live Binder itself, on mine, you'll see on the last tab, there's an evaluation. If you would like to fill that out, that would be really helpful to me on my Live Binder for this class. I always kind of like to get a feeling for where we're at. I just kind of dare you, just try it, play with it. Hopefully you'll get some sleep tonight after playing with it, because I know when I find new technology, I get really excited. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you.